Live at East Precinct. And let's see how they fare with a cop watcher. I'm sure by now they know that we were at another cop's place, Banffy's. So, all right, I got 4 people. Hey, I'm over here at East Precinct. This is the precinct where Banffy works. We went over to his house this morning. Got me a sergeant right there. Let's see what he has to say, if anything. Hey, Sergeant, how you doing? All right. So you hear about Banffy this morning? Officer Banffy? Uh, all right. Another supervisor. Looks like he's going through the Boys and Girls Club parking lot. Hey, so I just got yelled at by this officer. Hey, long time no see.
How are you doing?
All right, how you doing?
Good. What's going on?
Just coming over and seeing what kind of excitement I'll get. Ah, you're a lieutenant
You're a
now.
lieutenant now. Yeah, it's been a while, huh?
Yeah,
So what's up? I heard you've been hanging out here a lot lately.
I haven't.
You haven't?
No.
Well, what's new? Are you recording me?
Of
Of
course.
course you are. Well, not always. Sometimes you
Yeah.
and I talk without the recording. So
Well, did you hear what happened earlier?
earlier today,
Yeah.
I just got here. I work the night shift now.
Okay.
What
You
happened
know
earlier?
Officer Banffy, right?
Banffy. Yes, I think he works night shift.
Yeah. Well, a couple cop watchers went over to his house today.
Okay.
I was one of them.
Why?
It appears that he was involved in several traffic stops on a female cop watcher
Okay.
for the same thing. Cop watchers heard over the radio that when they see, he sat there and said, when you see this SUV, pull it over.
What did he stop her for?
Huh?
What did he stop her for?
Expired tags.
Did she have expired tags?
Yeah, but DMV's closed.
It's true. Well, probably shouldn't be driving until DMV's open, right?
Well, I guess she sent out for the temporaries,
Right.
and
That's good. That's good.
she had a receipt for those.
Okay. Well, that's good. So why go to his house? I don't understand.
Because he pulled her over, and even after she said, "Hey, look, I got the receipt," he goes, "Well, I don't see the temporary."
Right.
and so he pulled her over. Pulled her over a couple times. Was back up in another one,
Yeah.
and then in 2 days she was pulled over 7 times.
7 times?
Yeah,
Who pulled you in Portland?
yeah,
She should probably get those tags fixed and not drive until that's taken care of, is what that tells me.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it tells me that she's being harassed, especially when they sit there over the radio and say, when you find her, pull her over.
Well, I will say, when you guys, your whole goal is what? Right? To go out and cause contention and harass officers, right?
No, we don't harass officers.
All right. What's your intent when you come out and record officers?
Our intent is to record officers and make sure that they don't violate people's civil rights and
Right.
make sure that they're doing things by the book.
Yes. And you and I have talked about that, which I totally don't have an issue with that, and most cops don't.
Mm-hmm.
But what about recording officers' license plates when they're going home? What does that serve?
Most officers, their plates are registered to the station, so it serves no purpose.
So then why do it? What's the point? I don't understand.
Yeah. It's just something that we've learned to do. I mean, on traffic stops, if you got a car pulled over, we do your plate and we do the car that's been pulled over's plate.
Right. Which in that instance, you're, like you said, you're looking for officers that you feel might be stepping off or not doing something lawful, right?
Right.
But when officers are ending their shift and going home, what do you? To me, it seems kind of like intimidation, Bob. You and I have talked in the past, and
Yeah.
it seems like that's kind of like a line that you haven't really crossed in a long time. So I don't understand.
Yeah. Well, I haven't, like I said, I haven't been out here.
Yeah.
I've been home. When
I
I
know,
heard,
I've been looking for you because I wanted
Yeah.
to come say hi now that I'm on nights, but I haven't seen you. So.
yeah,
But even if you're not here, your Film the Police crew and your associates are out here, right? So.
well, they're not my crew. We're all individual people.
Okay.
And
Just like officers are all individual people, correct?
no, you work for the same department. You're under a chain of command. We're not under a chain of command. I'm in charge of myself, my channel.
Okay.
The Huntress is in charge of her and her channel.
Who's the Huntress?
The female cop watcher that got pulled over.
I don't know any. I know you and I know Blue.
Yeah.
Hair. I don't know who's
Cri-
the Huntress. Is that
Yeah.
her name? Okay. I haven't met her yet, but they're associates of yours.
Yeah.
Right? And you all have, even though you're accountable for only yourself, you all kind of have the same interest, wouldn't you say?
No,
Do you have any influence on them whatsoever?
none.
Do you feel that filming cops' plates when they leave has any value to what you're doing?
I think it has no value at all. It's just something that we're trained to do.
Yeah.
Just like when you go down the street, if you see someone driving and you suspect they're drunk, you don't know if they're drunk, but you suspect they're drunk, then you'll run the plate and see what's up. If they got 10 drunk driving tickets and they just barely did one of these, they'll probably get pulled over.
So let me ask you this: if you heard, did you went to Bampy's house,
Yes.
but he didn't pull you over, and you guys worked
No.
independently, so you
Mhm.
obviously do associate with the Huntress, right?
Mhm.
Is that who we're talking about that got cited?
Yeah.
So why, I don't understand why go to his house if it's something he did while he's at work. I mean, I've given you my card. I tell you,
Yeah.
call me if you see something you don't like or you're concerned.
Right.
So why not call me and say, hey, there's something I'm concerned about?
Because I wasn't involved in what happened last night. I was home. I got a call saying that she was pulled over 3 times
Yeah.
and she was ticketed once.
Okay.
Or no, she was ticketed twice. She was ticketed one time for the placards,
Sure.
okay? And second time they pulled her over. They told her to pull over, so she pulled over. They wrote her a parking ticket.
Okay. But I know you don't like it, but based on what you're saying, and I don't know the specifics, it sounds like he's well within his right under the law to do that. If
To
there's
write her a
violation.
parking ticket?
Well, if it's her vehicle and she's parked it, yeah.
Yeah, the cop told her to park it.
Okay.
If I'm driving down the street, you're driving down the street, right? And you get on your radio, which also has a bullhorn, and you
Sure.
say pull over and park, and I
Right.
pull over and park.
Yeah.
Do you feel that you have a right or a responsibility to go up and give me a ticket for
Well,
illegal parking?
Bob, I don't know about the specifics. If you and I had talked about this, it's something I could look into because I
Mm-hmm.
don't know the specifics and whatnot. But what I would say is, you and I have talked. There's a lot of good cops. You've acknowledged
Yeah.
that not all cops have ill intentions, right?
Right.
And so I feel like when you go to an officer's home like that,
Mm-hmm.
you've personalized it, and I feel like it's almost like intimidation and harassment. And so that's why I just kind of get a feel from you is what's your intent?
Mm-hmm.
Is your intent to harass him or
No.
like to intimidate him? I mean, because this
No.
doesn't even involve you. You are taking an issue with her ticket or her
It
stops.
it affects all cop watchers. One day it's her, next day I might be out, they might pull me over 3 times and write me 2 tickets.
They could if you're committing some kind of traffic violation or
Right.
infraction, right? I mean, they could.
And
Or
so,
just like any citizen that
yeah.
runs a light or doesn't have the right tags,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's kind of the risk you take when you drive without the appropriate,
Mm-hmm.
stuff. So,
But to pull her over 3 times for the same thing within an hour?
You may not agree with it and you may not like it, but I'm just saying, I feel
Yeah.
like it's really extreme to go to someone's house.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think, that's kind of like I said, I feel like you're trying to intimidate him.
No.
Whereas if you had called me and said, hey, LT, or hey, Sarge, because, a couple weeks ago I was a sergeant, what's the deal with this officer, or
Mhm.
you talk to me, let's talk it out, because you and I
Yeah.
have a good relationship. But it puts off a perception that you guys don't really care about right or wrong, and you just want to do everything you can to harass people and give cops a hard time.
No, we're not.
But I know you in the past have been a
Mhm.
really great witness. You've been helpful
Mm-hmm.
on a couple incidents. That one deal we had up there off of 60th. You showed me your video. You were super cool about it. So I
Mhm.
know that, you have had somewhat amicable relationships, and you and I have a good
Mhm.
relationship. But then when I heard about, the film and the plates thing, I thought, well, it doesn't sound like Bob.
Mm-hmm.
And then, hearing you talk about going to an officer's house, I'm like, did something happen that, like, lately that's made a change?
Well, she got pulled over 3 times last night, and
Last
It-
night?
last night.
Okay, I wasn't here last night. So I
Okay.
haven't got.
And in the last 2 nights, she got pulled over 7 times.
Yeah. Well, so now is she purposely trying to get pulled over by continuing to drive with the violations? I mean, I think a lot of people would probably park that car until DMV can get it sorted out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just playing devil's advocate here, right?
Yeah.
So is it like, look at me, pull me over so that I can film you, and now go to your house? I mean,
No,
that's the perception, right?
it's a perception, yeah, but it's not her thing. Her thing is that she's a cop watcher. Okay, a lot of the cops know it,
Right.
and so they're going out and going after her for that. That's the way we look at it.
So if you did get pulled over, say you ran a red light, you weren't paying attention, or you were whatever,
If I
inadvertently.
ran a red light and I got a ticket,
Mhm.
that would be on me. That wouldn't be on the officer.
Okay.
Okay, but if if my tags were expired and DMV's closed, and DMV and
Yeah.
police and everyone says we're not going to enforce that until DMV opens back up, and I get stopped a bunch, and then an officer tells me to pull over, and I pull over and I get a parking ticket,
Yeah.
me and that officer's going to have issues. I mean, I'm not going to hop out of the car and beat him up.
Sure. Well, what I hear you say is like, oh, I'm not involved in that. I'm not responsible for their actions, but yet you take issue in things that happen to them. So it's kind of like you're kind of being wishy-washy on that. So you weren't involved in those stops. The 7.
Mhm.
Were you in any of the car, the 7 stops?
No.
Or- okay. Well, I understand she's your friend, and you guys have some association.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I feel like it's kind of going over the top.
Mm-hmm.
Like if we had an officer that did something really egregious. I'm not saying I would agree with it, but I would understand it. But I think there's a perception that you guys are trying to intimidate cops. And I say you guys, I say your counterparts that are professing to go to people's houses, and you actually ended up going to his house.
Yeah.
Right? So how did that go when you got there?
It went pretty good to the point where we're about ready to leave, and we're just starting to shut off the cameras and load up the car. And then 6 cops showed up, and then they had a few on the back streets.
All right.
And then the cameras had to make sure they were still running, and we stayed out there for about 45 minutes while they were talking on the phone, trying to figure out what they were going to do.
Okay. Did you talk to an officer or anybody out there?
I talked to an officer, and then when I said, "Hey, you guys leave, we're going to leave, and everything's cool," he's like, "All right, leave." And then sergeant showed up, and all of a sudden, well, we can't leave because the sergeant, the officer's no longer in charge. It's the sergeant.
Okay.
And I'm not.
Did you talk to the officer whose house you're at?
I knocked on his door, and he opened it and then shut it real quick. He wouldn't talk to us.
What were you going to talk to him about?
I was going to ask him about the traffic stops. Why he felt it was necessary to stop her so many times.
You could probably do that at the precinct or while he's working, don't you think? Or...
Usually cops don't talk to us at the precinct.
Oh, we talk to you all the time.
You do, but not all the cops. I mean, if I have an issue with a cop, trying to get a hold of the cop is hard to do sometimes.
So what's the plan now? What are you going to do?
What am I going to do?
Go back out there?
Well, I'll probably be here for about 30 minutes, and then I'm going to head home.
Okay.
I just want, it's like this. Okay, I went to his house.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of cops upset right now. Right?
Maybe not.
Maybe not. And
I mean, let's face it. You've done this before, or your
and
done it before.
And if officers are mad at me, I'm right here.
Okay.
They can talk to me. They can, I'm respectable. I'll respect them. They'll respect me.
What about her though? Is she?
Huh?
Is she?
She's respectable.
Well, let me ask you this: of the 7 times she got stopped, how many times did she just get a warning?
5.
That's pretty dang good. For 7 violations, you only got cited 2 out of 7 times.
Well, she had a ticket when they asked her for a driver's license. She goes, "Well, here's the ticket. You can get off that."
But you see what I'm saying? She could have got 7 tickets.
Yeah.
She only got 2 out of, you know what I mean? Like.
Yeah, but that's called stacking.
Stacking.
Yeah, you never heard of that phrase?
No.
That phrase, basically what stacking is when you charge someone multiple times for the same crime, over the same thing. Well, that's stacking. For instance, if they cited her every time, right, that would be stacking. If, but like say someone went out and committed 7 burglaries here, that wouldn't be stacking. But if the person committed 1 burglary and was charged 7 times for the same burglary, that would be stacking.
Yeah. But every time you operate your car a different day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even if how is that stacking if it's a new day and it's a new infraction, right?
Because
just like if somebody runs a red light and you say, "Hey Bob, I'm gonna write you a ticket because you ran a red light," and the next day I'm like, "Hey, you just ran that same red light," and I write you again. That's not the same.
That's not stacking.
Okay.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
But if you pulled me over for running a red light, and you go, "Okay, I got something for you," and you walk back and wrote me 7 tickets for running the same light at the same time, that would be stacking.
So let me ask you this. You and I have had this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
You want to hold the police accountable, which we all do too, the good cops that are out here, which is most of the Bureau. A big number, probably I think the number is higher than you do. But if there is somebody out there that has ill intent on cops and wants to harm a cop, do you worry that your posts and what you put on the internet could inspire them to hurt an officer? Because your intent is not to hurt an officer, correct?
No.
You and I have talked about that.
Yeah.
If somebody were inspired by what you're posting online to go hurt a cop,
Mm-hmm.
you thought about that?
Yeah. And usually stuff that I post is not something that would hurt a cop. Like for instance, when I go to a cop's home, I don't publish the address. The address isn't there. So it could be one of any hundreds of thousands of homes in the Portland.
So you don't film the numbers on the house
No.
or the numbers on the mailbox.
Right.
So if I looked up your video from, was it yesterday or the day before, whenever you went to the officer's house?
Today.
There won't be the numbers on the house. But if somebody else posted on their social media site and then you show up there,
Yeah.
I think any reasonable person could put 2 and 2 together and figure it out. You don't have to be that tech savvy to figure it out. I mean,
Well, yeah, if someone else posted the address,
yeah.
but then it wouldn't be my video that they got the address from.
So what I'm saying is you wouldn't feel bad about that. You would feel like, well, I didn't put the address, that's not my fault. You wouldn't feel bad that an officer got seriously hurt because some person was inspired by your video.
If I put up a video that hurt a cop, and at no point do I ever put up videos where I support hurting officers, right? Then I would feel bad. But if an officer, say an officer has a beat, right? He goes, oh yeah, my beat is from here to here, from here to here, and someone wants to hurt that officer, and they're waiting on some side street, there's nothing I can do about that. Would I feel bad about it? I'd feel bad for the officer. But, there's, you being a police officer, there's life and death decisions every day. Do I stop that speeder? Well, okay, the guy's only going 8 miles an hour over the speed limit. Well, 3 blocks up, he runs over a lady and her 2 kids. Is that going to affect your career from there on out? Or are you going to sit there and say, hey, I feel bad for them. It shouldn't have happened, but it did.
But the difference in that example you gave is that, like, for example, me as a supervisor, I have a fair amount of influence on the people that I work with and the people I supervise, where you have a fair amount of influence in the people that watch and follow you and your coworkers. You guys inspire each other, you guys communicate. And so there are, presumably, I don't look at your site, I don't know how many followers or viewers you have or fans you have. But a lot of the people you inspire could take the intentions and go a different direction, right? So that's the part that worries me.
Well, anyone could do anything. If someone had an issue with an officer, they could sit over there in the trees with a rifle,
Sure would make it easier to have someone inspiring you, though, right? And giving you some insight.
If someone was inspiring. But if someone's not inspiring, if you watch my videos, I'm not, hey,
Where do I watch your videos?
Huh?
Where's your videos if I were to want to watch them?
Under Robert West.
Robert West on YouTube, or what social platform do you have?
I got YouTube.
YouTube? Okay.
Robert
West.
Yeah.
Okay.
And my intention is not to have officers hurt.
Okay.
Just.
What about property damage? Like, what about peeing on cops' cars? I heard that you peed on a car. Do you do that? Why would you do that?
The female officer was really disrespectful to us for a few days, and all the places were closed, so there was no place to use the bathroom.
Yeah.
And so that's what happened there.
So you peed on her car?
Yeah.
What, on the tire or the door or what?
Door.
You peed on the door?
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Why?
Yeah. Was she there? Did she?
She was at a call.
Oh, okay.
She was in a house, and we're all laughing about the call anyway because.
So you peed on her door because you felt she had been disrespectful to you.
Well, I knew she was disrespectful to me. She was disrespectful to other cop watchers too. There was no property damage done.
Yeah, but that's actually a crime. It's criminal mischief
No, it's not.
to pee on someone's car.
No.
So if I went and peed on your car right now, you wouldn't be upset. Be honest, you would be upset.
I'd be pissed, but the thing is one, it was raining.
Yeah.
Two, I don't even think anyone knows what car it was. So with it raining,
Yeah.
driving back and forth on calls and stuff like that.
That's just nasty. That's not cool.
Yeah, but it's better than the comments that I got, because we went out to this one and the sergeant goes, "Stay 6 feet away from us and 6 feet away from the cars." And I go, "Why?" He goes, "Because COVID."
Yeah.
Okay. And then he goes, then he made a comment about me peeing on one of the police cars, and one of the cop watchers that was with me goes, "What do you guys think of that?" And she did a survey. 80% of the people said I did nothing wrong. And one of them said that it was
How many took your survey?
I don't know,
Like 10 people, or are we talking like 5 or?
probably 10, 15.
Okay.
She has quite a few people that watch the channel. And one of them stated that a cop car is an outhouse on wheels with disco lights.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but,
Yeah.
you know, with,
Yeah, I mean, but you have good, decent relationships with some people, right? I think you
Yeah.
and I have a decent relationship.
mhm,
But when you do things like that, even though they're funny or they're in response to something you didn't like, that doesn't build relationships. You know what I mean? Like, wouldn't it, like you and I have talked about this, wouldn't it be great if Film the Police went around and filmed all the good stuff police did? Your fan base would go like so high.
I do film good stuff that officers do.
Yeah. Do you post it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
I'm gonna
post,
have to check out your site. I'm gonna have to check it out now.
anytime an officer does something good,
Okay.
I post that too. I post the good and the bad and the in between.
So let me ask you, are you worried about COVID at all? I mean, I see you don't have a mask and you're kind of out here. Are you worried about getting sick at all? I mean, I gotta say, you're not a spring chicken anymore. Even though they say
No.
the older you are, the more risk you are for getting
Yeah.
sick.
No, I'm more worried about other things than COVID.
Okay. All right.
To me, COVID is the same thing as the flu. Only thing is, it's a biological weapon that was made in China.
Right. What do you think about the governor's orders, though, to stay home?
Let's see. How would I say it?
Like,
How would I say it in a respectful way?
tell me.
She can shove those orders up her ass.
So you think that they don't apply to you, or like?
I think they're unconstitutional.
Okay. All right.
And I've been threatened by officers before. "Well, we're going to cite you." I go, "Cite me. It's unconstitutional. You cite me, I'll file a tort claim." People have the right to freedom of assembly,
Right.
freedom of speech.
Yeah.
People have the right to go out and exercise. You have the right of the media.
Yeah.
And we're alternative media, and the Supreme Court has ruled alternative media is the same as regular media. So to nail me for that means that you'd have to nail all that. You should nail all these
Yeah.
channel stations for doing the same thing.
Right. I see your perspective. But I wonder, filming license plates, is that newsworthy, or is that something that has a public interest? Whereas, like, police taking action out in response to calls, that's most news outlets. That's kind of where they come into play, is they're following police and the actions and things. But, like, filming officer's license plate, isn't that a little different? I mean, I know you said you haven't been doing it, but your counterparts just randomly filming plates just because that's how you were trained?
I don't think I haven't seen my counterparts filming any plates. I know that they filmed cops leaving, and when they sat there and made a whole procession down there and blocked off streets and stuff like that, that fuels cop watchers to want to come out and film.
What are you talking about? A procession?
Yeah, when you get a bunch of cars, in a line,
Oh.
Um, and I heard a couple nights ago they shut down Cherry Blossom, and they had one officer come out. They had one car come out, and then they had a whole line, and then a marked
Yeah.
unit behind it escorted them off. You know,
Hmm.
um, and that's
Do you not come out at night, or you just come out randomly, or what? You like a schedule for when you're out and about?
no
schedule.
no schedule. My dad wanted me home
Yeah.
for the COVID stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, now that he's like, well, they're saying that once it hits the air in the daytime, because the ultraviolet light, it dies almost immediately. He's leaning toward, well, yeah, you can go out during the day, but I don't want you out at night.
Okay, so that's probably why I haven't seen you, because I work the night shift now. So
Yeah.
And I don't get out of the office all that much. Well, I do need to get in for roll call. I always appreciate our talks.
All
You're
right.
being nice, of course, and you're not yelling at me. So you've obviously filmed our conversation. I like it when we have private conversations, but I totally respect your filming.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with this video?
It's going to be published.
Are you going to edit it and say awful things about me like you've done in the past?
How often have I said awful things about
once in a
you?
great while. Wow.
No, it's going to go on like this. And then at a later time, if there's several, it's with a camera and it's live. So due to it's live, it's on YouTube right now.
All right. Well, I tell you what, Bob.
Hmm.
I think it's good that we have a rapport. If there's an issue with an officer, I would ask that you call me.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of maybe we can talk through it. Maybe there's something you don't understand or I don't understand, and we can shed light. I would ask you not to go to officers' houses, because you talked about things that film the police and cause contention. That kind of goes both ways, right? So, I mean, you do what you feel you need to do, but I think that you have a lot more credibility when you have good relationships with officers, and I know those are helpful to you, right? Because you have had some good relationships when you're a good witness, and there's some officers that are comfortable. So that would be my ask, is that you try and work on finding that positive balance, because like I said, most cops, we don't want bad cops in the Bureau, right?
No.
So for that respect, we share that interest. It's just how we go about it, right? So I gotta go, but call me if you need anything, or if there's something we can talk about.
Okay. Yep.
All right.
You're
going home soon though, or are you?
Yeah, I'm going home real soon. I just came out because, like I said, we went over to his house, and if there's a problem, I'd rather the officer say something to me here than say something over there, or say something at a traffic stop where there's other people, and then you got a big argument and stuff like that.
All right. Good night.
All right. So you guys got to see what happened. So it's getting dark. And I'm going to head out. So, because my dad wants me home before dark. He doesn't want any COVID. And I'm not worried about it, but he is. So once I get to my car, I'm going to sign off. But hold on, because you never know what's going on. Seeing all these cops going up and down the street. So I apologize that I haven't been able to look at all the comments and stuff. Um, just been really dealing with that new female lieutenant. I knew her when she was a sergeant. Uh, we've always been respectful of each other, and now she's time a lieutenant, which means that she's the watch commander at night. So that'll make things interesting. So I appreciate everyone watching, keeping my back, because watching my back is very important when I do things like this. And I was out here by myself. So I'm going to sign off.